All right, I'm going to do something that very few people are willing to do, which is defend alignment as a concept in Dungeons and Dragons. First, let me be very clear. Racial alignments are absolutely ridiculous. These are sapient entities. These are entities capable of deciding between good and evil, law and chaos, and therefore they should have no inherent racial alignment. That's so angry making. And this has been one of the problems I've had since Gygax, etc., wrote BASIC back way back when. And since I first started to play first edition around like 84 or something, okay? There should be no inherent racial alignments. That said, why is alignment useful? Why should you like alignment and like what it does for your character? First, a lot of people are misusing alignment. The problem is they look at it as prescriptive, i.e., does my character meet these rules, and my character cannot violate this worldview. Okay, that is the wrong way to do it. Just like with language or religion, looking at something top down or economics, doing something top down is too restrictive and does not lead to anything good happening in the long run. Maybe in the short run, you can get some good ideas. In this case, if you're just starting with your character, you can ask yourself, does this fit my character's alignment? And therefore say, no, therefore I shouldn't do it. Or yes, the other option is not as good. So at the beginning, it's good. Towards the middle and end, what's going to happen is you're going to be frustrated by your alignment if you make it prescriptive. Instead, you need to do what a lot of other things are like, which is make it descriptive. The English language is a perfect example, as are most major religions, where they look at the way people practice, the way they speak English, and then they write that into the rule set based on actual interaction with the real world. Okay. So when you do your alignment, think to yourself, how does my alignment reflect my character's belief systems and worldview? Feel free to change your alignment as your character's worldview changes. I know that this was not part of the original design plan, but it is useful to do so. It should represent the same sort of incredible shift as when you change careers or change religions or any number of other, or political parties or any number of other big worldview shifts. But it should be feasible, and your DM should not be restricting you from doing that. So, all those caveats out of the way, let's look at the utility and the very serious utility of alignment based on the different ways we can use the two scales that are offered. First, there is what I like to call the philosophical or ethical scale. That's law, neutrality, and chaos. In these situations, law simply means, do you have a rule set which you tend to follow or hold higher than other principles? If the answer is yes, you are lawful. If you are chaotic, that means that you're willing to sacrifice rule sets depending upon the situation. In other words, the ends justify the means versus the lawful means justifying the ends. The neutral is, of course, a mix of the two. Okay. Most people fall under neutral. And in fact, in most cases, for most things, most people fall under neutral in general. So a neutral character will have both lawful precepts, in other words, a few rules which they will not break, and chaotic precepts. In other words, everything else is changeable depending upon the situation. That's a healthy outlook. In fact, all three are healthy outlooks. Okay. I tried to be I tried to be chaotic for a while and that failed miserably. Then I tried to be neutral for a while and that failed miserably. So I ended up being lawful and I'm not happy with that, but that's just the truth. So I'm stuck that way. My wife, on the other hand, is definitely more chaotic to neutral, and it works for her. There's nothing wrong with any of those things. And that's something that I disagree with the basic set and the early D&D principles on, is that the chaos is inherently bad. I know they stole that from both Greco-Roman mythology and Michael Moorcock, because they stole a lot from both. But still, that's not necessarily a problem. And if you're having a bottom-up sort of descriptive system, chaos is kind of essential. So, anyways, let's go to the other axis, which is good, neutral, and evil. Good varies depending upon your culture, depending upon your species, depending upon your situation growing up, etc., etc. So what good can generally mean is that you are altruistic and work for others. But that really only applies to pack animals like humans, and other apes, or dogs, or any number of, or crows, or any number of other things. So for pack animals like us, we would say working for the group is better than just working for the self. Whereas if you're a lone hunter, like say cats, for the most part, working for the self would be a higher good than working for the group. So yes, tabaxis have an inverted good versus evil in a lot of ways. And in other ways they don't, if you're going to talk in strictly D&D terms, because they're cats, let's face it. Now, we go and we look at this and we're saying, well, okay, so is my character more altruistic or more selfish? Not to say that selfish is inherently bad and altruistic is inherently good. You could be altruistic or selfish for reasons that are respectively very poor or very good. Okay. Again, I point to the Tabaxi, where being selfish is essential to their survival. So, whereas for us, being altruistic is essential for the packs and therefore our individual survival. Um, so think about things in a more abstracted sense. You don't have to say that lawful good always abides by the law and always tries to help others, because that's not accurate. For one thing, the law that they may abide by may be a religious law, maybe a personal code of ethics, maybe their oath if they're a paladin, maybe the actual law, you know, but that doesn't necessarily, and in a lot of religions, the law and the religion are interchangeable in a very important and very essential ways. So being lawful good doesn't mean you stick to, say, the king says. It means you stick to a general attempt to care for others and a general attempt to abide by the principles which you've pre-established. Chaotic good would be focusing primarily on the good aspect and using whatever tools you need to in order to make it there, ignoring any pre-established rules, or establishing rules on the fly and breaking them on the fly, you know. The only one that's really bad, and this is because of the practicum of it in the game, and I call these the asshole alignments, are neutral evil, and chaotic neutral. It's not that you can't play these and be a good player and produce a good character who works in the group. However, in my experience over the last 40 years, it's almost never been the case that a chaotic evil, chaotic neutral, or neutral evil character is conducive to a good collaborative story. and which is the fundamental goal of the game. It's also been my experience that while people can work with lawful evil because at the very least they have principles they adhere to, even if they're only out for themselves fundamentally. In real life, working with chaotic evil, neutral evil, and chaotic neutral people tend to be at best difficult with chaotic neutral, and most often with the others, something that where you will not only get screwed but actively hurt. And people you care about will be actively hurt in order to benefit one person. So, I mean, this brings me to another point, is these are actually useful principles if you're generalizing, okay? And I understand that originally they weren't generalizing. Originally, they were very strict. And again, I disagree with that wholeheartedly. But if you are generalizing and looking at the basic ethical and then moral principles, the ethical axis, the moral axis, and you use them to guide your character, not control your character, but guide your character, then I think you will find it both profitable in the game and in real life to do so. Now, are there going to be break moments? There have to be. These are moments where you are going to understand all of a sudden the other point of view, and that's good. That's character growth, and it may lead to an alignment shift. But even if it doesn't, that's a significant point, and that helps the story. And what we're doing here is collaborative storytelling. So in the long run, using this as a descriptive methodology to approach alignment, we can use alignment to make our games richer. Unfortunately, it's been used to restrict the game, and we cannot keep allowing that to happen. But then that's my lawful side speaking up. But what we can do is we can take the guidance that we've selected for our own characters and apply it. And it might help you when you roleplay. So anyways, that's my defensive alignment and how it's actually useful in the game and how I hope you discover a better and more interesting approach to it than just the simple Gygaxian top-down dictatorial methodology that we've seen before. So my name's Joseph Cadotte. This has been Ill-Informed Opinions, and leave comments, like, subscribe, etc. My socials are down below. Good day.